Hey everybody, and welcome back to Make It with Mod Podge. I'm Steve Piacenza. If you're wondering why I'm holding up two cool pair of shoes, that's because Cathie is going to make these over using Fabric Mod Podge and some really cool Halloween fabric. So let's get started. Cath, take it away.
Welcome and thank you so much, Steve, and thank you guys for joining us today. I'm so excited about today's show because we have one of my favorite things to do, which is shoe makeovers. I'm going to show you 3 quick ways that you can make over your shoes using Fabric Mod Podge and whatever fabric you want. So I'm going for some Halloween shoes today. So I'm going to be using this really fun pumpkin fabric to create some flats. And I've got some buffalo check going on to create our boot makeover. I posted this on my Facebook, just a behind the scenes pic of what was happening. And everyone was like, oh my gosh, how did you make those boots? And I kept saying, video on Thursday, video on Thursday. So here we are, and thank you guys for joining us. I'm gonna show you those, and I'm gonna give you some quick tips on what you can do to create patterns if you're making shoes that you wanna sell at boutiques or online. I've got a really fun, quick, easy way that you can make a fabric pattern. So I wanna get started with the flats. And I've got just an inexpensive black flat. It doesn't matter what color your shoe is to begin with. You can use even an old shoe and give it a makeover. You're going to want to get some 100% cotton fabric. Now, lightweight cotton corduroys will work for this as well, and lightweight woven wools will also work. And you're going to cut your fabric. Let's just lay this down here. You're going to cut your fabric a little bit bigger than your flat shoe. So let's just take a look at what I mean by that. First of all, you're also going to have your fabric be on the bias. So when you cut your fabric normally, you cut it like this, straight. You're gonna wanna turn that. If you cut it on the bias, that's gonna give you a little bit of stretch, and you're gonna need that stretch to go over that rounded toe area. So we've got our piece of fabric is big enough to wrap around our shoe, wrap around the toe area, and wrap around the back. Okay, so for whatever shoe you have, you're going to just measure it and give yourself enough space around it. Make sure you can wrap it almost like a poof. So then what we're gonna do is we're going to use Fabric Mod Podge. This is not regular Mod Podge. This is the fabric formula. So it works fabric to fabric or fabric to other things. One thing that I love about this formula is that once it is cured, it is machine washable. So this is a really good formula to use on shoes. So what we're going to do is just go ahead and we're going to brush it directly onto the shoe. And you can see that this is thicker. This is a thicker formula than regular Mod Podge. And it's going to dry clear. I'm going to go ahead and just, really it's as fast as that, getting it onto the shoe. Brush it on. If you have shoes that are old and beat up, this is a really fun way to make them over. If you're into cosplay and costume, this is a really cool way to create your own designer shoe to go with whatever costume or outfit you have. If you're doing a bridal party situation, you want everybody to have a matching something, and this is a really good technique for that as well. So I've got all of the Fabric Mod Podge down onto the shoe. And don't worry if you don't get every single part right there exactly, because that will also get filled in when we do our top coating. So then you're just going to lay your fabric on top of the shoe. And again, I'm doing this on the bias. That way we get a little bit of stretch here. And we're just gonna smooth that down. Okay, you can start to see some of the Mod Podge coming through. Smooth it all the way down on the sides. Okay, don't worry about trimming it away yet. Then we're gonna go in and we're going to lay that flat there. See how I've just pushed that down? And we'll add a little bit more Fabric Mod Podge here. And flap that over. If you hear that little creak in the background, guys, that's my little one sneaking in here to see what I'm making. Last year I made her some Superman shoes. And she loved them. So you can really, if your kids love Harry Potter, you can do Harry Potter fabrics. It's endless. You know, you can really make these fun. Okay, so there we've got it all down. I want to come in and make sure you see that overlap. It's almost like a Tom shoe, if you're familiar with the Tom shoe, how it just does that flap there. And remember, this is going to seal, glue and seal it down. So then at this point, you'd want to set this aside and let this dry. And I have one, the other side of the shoe, that's been drying, and I want to show you how we finish it off. So remember how I said, don't worry if you don't get it exactly on that edge, and not to worry. So I'm going to show you how you do that next. So we're going to use a craft knife, and I am going to get my reading glasses on because I want to see really good on this detail work. And you'll go in, just go right along that edge, just like so, just to trim away that fabric. And don't worry if you get a little bit of fuzzies there, that all goes away. All the way around. And we'll pick it back up on this side. Normally, I hold this a little bit differently, but for on camera, I'm gonna hold it this way, hoping that you guys can see that good. And I'm just using my craft knife right along the seam of the shoe, right there. So right where that heel, the rubber meets the, these are faux leather, so right where the rubber meets the faux leather. I have done these with detail scissors also, but I think you get a cleaner line with a craft knife. Okay, now what we'll do is we'll go in and just add a little bit more. I'm gonna get a smaller brush. Add a little bit more of our Mod Podge there, just to fill in that perfectly cute little edge there. Look how cute these are looking. Okay, now we're ready to top coat. So at this point, you just press that toe down, hold that down, go in and top coat that area to get that sealed down. And it's really just a matter of pressing down with your fingers. Just getting that down. And you will get a little bit of a pleat there because that's where you're rounding that corner. Okay, that's gonna be totally normal. All right, we've got that part down. Now I wanna show you how we finish off this section here. So for that section there, we're just gonna go in, get it started with our craft knife, go in with my scissors, and then we're going to, let's see if you can see in there. See where the leather is there? We'll go in and just cut right on up to that area. And that's gonna be flaps then that go onto the inside. That'll create a finished look. You don't wanna go over. I'm feeling it there with my finger, okay? That's gonna fold right under. Don't worry if you don't get exactly close. You can always go back in and add a little bit more to that cut. You just don't want to go too far. But if you did, you could always just patch it up with the Mod Podge. Okay. One more there, a couple there, and a couple there. We can go ahead and add a few more if we need to. Okay, so then what I like to do is we'll just lay this down. Hopefully you guys can see that good. Add some Mod Podge. Again, this is the Fabric formula. This is not regular Mod Podge. This is the Blue Label Fabric formula, just like that, okay? Fill that up and flip them to the inside. You can see now you're getting that really pretty edge there. I like to just use my finger to press it down. I feel like it's the easiest. Okay, so I'm gonna speed this up for you guys. So let's go ahead. I'm gonna get this down and we will put it on speed dial. Okay, I think I got all of my bits glued down, and now I want to show you how to completely top coat the shoe. It's super easy, and this is going to seal all of it down. We're just going to go in, put the Mod Podge directly onto the shoe, and go in and really push down on that edge there. You want to get that really secured down. And as you do that, any of your little wrinkles there, they will all just kind of disappear as soon as you get it really smushed down with your finger. Just top coat the whole thing. And basically, after you have it top coated, all you have to do is wait for it to dry. That's it. So top coat, top coat. You can finish them off with some different types of trims. I'm gonna throw a couple pictures up there for you to show you what this looks like when we have some rickrack on top of it. Just add it right on top. Make sure you seal that back edge really good too. There you go. Now you look like you have a milky shoe, right? It's got milky Mod Podge all over it. This is going to dry perfectly clear. So now you just want to set that aside and let it dry. And once it's dry, you can go in and add all sorts of trims to it, and you can glue the trims on using the Fabric Mod Podge as well. So for that, all you would want to do is go in, just add a little bit of your Fabric Mod Podge to the trim, and then once it's dry, you would place it wherever you want on the shoe. It's as easy as that. So now I want to show you how to do our boot. These are so cool. These are so fun. And I want to show you a quick way to do the pattern. So on the boot, I've got our buffalo check here on the front side. I've got some trims, again, glued down with the Fabric Mod Podge, and the buffalo check on this side. So what I did was I created a pattern. Let me get this messy part out of here so we don't get Mod Podge all over our good boot. So to create, I just want to show you a really simple way to create a pattern on this. So for the boots, you could cover the whole toe area if you wanted to. I really wanted to go for more like this two-tone look, so I just did the sides. And for that, I created a pattern just using wax paper. And what you're gonna wanna do is cut a piece of wax paper that's a little bit bigger than the area that you wanna make the pattern for. And then you'll lay that down, and you don't even need to tape it down. My hands are so sticky, guys. So then you go in, I'm just using a pencil, kid's pencil, and you hold it into position and trace along that edge, okay? Then feel for there you go. Got to put my glasses on again, you guys. Then we're gonna make sure we have this edge lined up. So kind of put your lines in first, your outer lines. Following up that edge there. And let me just peek. Okay, we're there. Now, I've got this stitching line. I hope you guys can see what I'm doing. You just go in, I'll try it with the pencil. It works better with my fingernail. You just go in and rub there. And if you can see, that is that stitching line right there, okay? So what I've done is I've gone ahead, and you will just connect this part here, and there's your pattern. You just follow that all along. And what you'll do is you'll cut that piece out. See how that piece is? And then you'll cut that piece out of fabric, okay? So this, I'm just gonna lay it on here so you can see what it looks like. That was that pattern piece there. Just created easily just by rubbing right there, and that's where I got that pencil line. Okay, so let's go ahead and not gonna keep this pattern because I've already got that one going. Oh, and for the other side, I just wanna line this up for you. Same deal. I'm super sticky, guys. Okay, so the same thing goes, but because we have this zipper seam here, You've got one pattern piece for that side, and you've got one pattern piece for this side, okay? So you'll create one for on each side of that zipper. Okay, now let's get our Mod Podge down. This is super simple. We'll go ahead and add our Mod Podge. This one is almost easier to do than the shoe, because with the shoe you're rounding the toe and all of that. So the boot, although it may look harder, is actually the easier one to do. So we're gonna add the Fabric Mod Podge directly to the back of the fabric. On the shoe, I put it on the shoe first because we were cutting around that fabric and cutting the excess off. For this, we're gonna be laying this directly on, almost like an applique. Put that down, okay. Pick it up, don't worry if you get Mod Podge on the front because it's gonna all get sealed down anyways. And now, voila. You've got a little room to move it around, but I usually like to just start with that back seam and get it into position. You can move it around as you need. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention is I do like to create a little bit of extra at the top, and that I fold over into the boot just to get a cleaner look, cleaner top edge there. So you just go in and smooth that down. Make sure you don't have any air bubbles. Get it where you want it. And I sometimes go in even with the X-Acto knife and just kind of push it in like that. There we go. And now you can go in and top coat. So you just add a top coat. I had a lot of people asking questions about durability. Remember, this is the fabric formula. So that means once this is cured and dried, you can put, I mean, you wouldn't put these boots in the machine, but if you had this on fabric to fabric, you would be able to wash it in the machine, the clothing washer. So there you go, just top coat like that. And if I get any overspill, I go in and wipe it with a baby wipe right away. You don't want it to dry. Just like that. And now you just need to let it dry for a good couple of hours, and then you can go in and add any trims that you want. You can see on here, I added this type of a black flat trim. One thing about the trims is you want them to be able to be flexible. So bias trims or trims that have movement to them that can go around these curved edges are best. So one last thing I want to share with you guys about making over shoes is a really fun tip for if you are wanting to create a pattern to do something over and over again. A lot of people create these shoes and they sell them online or they sell them at craft fairs. So here you can see we did a sneaker. I did the same thing. I took my wax paper and I made a pattern, okay, for that and for our back area here. And we use this sort of like fun glitzy sequin trim just to finish it off. So if you are doing these over and over again, I like to take just some scrap fabric and I recreate my pattern right onto scrap fabric. That way I have a pattern that's good to go. You can see I've got my back piece here. So if you're making a bunch of these over and over and over again, you might even size these out. You might know a shoe that you're gonna buy and say, oh, that's the size 6, whatever. So it's a really quick, easy tip. If you're gonna be making multiples of these, make sure you start by making your wax paper pattern and then go in and just create a scrap fabric pattern. And trust me, you will say, thank you, Cathie, for that tip. So thank you guys so much for joining us today. Just quickly to recap, we did the really cute flats. You can add so many trims, and these are really fun for seasonal shoes. Halloween, use Christmas fabric at Christmas. If you're into cosplay or comic books, get some fun licensed fabrics and do some of your own fun designs like that. And my favorite is our boot. This is the easiest one you can do. It may look like the hardest, but I promise you it is super simple and very durable once you let all your Mod Podge dry. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next Thursday with another video, and make sure you use the hashtags plaid crafts and Mod Podge so that we can see what you're making. Bye.